Hello everyone, welcome back to the JNC Collectibles channel. I'm Shunping, today bringing you not exactly a deck profile, but more so like a part 2 of last weekend's deck profile. So before I jump into any details, some shoutouts really quick. Shout out to obviously my team JNC, fantastic team and fantastic teammates. Shout out to other sponsor like JJ Gear TCG. Make sure to check their website for any accessories they have available there. So before I really hop into any details, this is the same list as I had last weekend in the Remote Regional. Last weekend I finished X1 out of 7 rounds, I think 3rd place. And this weekend it was another Remote Regional. I played the exact same list as last weekend. Finished X11 5th place. So it's a lot of WoW points acquired in the past 2 weekends. If you want like the exact card, the exact deck list, feel free to check last weekend's deck profile. The video should also be on the channel. And then today more so I'm talking about a lot of like combo lines details. Because I feel like no one really want to watch 2 of the exact same deck profiles 2 weeks in a row, right? So I'm just going to record something a little bit different. So last weekend I talked about Fiendsmith Spright, the deck I've been using this entire format so far since the release of the newest ban list a couple weeks ago. And then Fiendsmith Spright is one of my preferred deck in the current format. I didn't like Yugioh, but I don't think Yugioh is bad or anything. Yugioh is obviously one of the best, if not the best deck in the format. However, I don't really vibe with it. I don't like it, honestly. I don't like Yugioh as being a lot of zeros and cannot really do any damages by itself. Like more often you have to like bounce damage off your opponent's monster. I don't like that. So at the end I was just looking at other decks that potentially are as good as Yugioh. Tenpai being obviously one of them. Tenpai is also arguably the second best deck in the format. But my eyes landed on this, Fiendsmith Spright. It honestly, in my opinion, has like going first, they are as good as Yugioh in a lot of cases. And then going second, there's also like other tools that are similar to Yugioh but also different. So overall, I think this is a very solid deck. If we had this format even longer, if I'm going to more tournaments, I'm willing to even prove that this deck is arguably as good as Yugioh in the whole format. It's just a lot of people don't really know, not really familiar with the Spright cards. On the other hand, Sprites in general, a lot of people haven't seen these cards for a while. Last time people seen Spright should be around like early mid 2023, which is about like a year and a half ago, during Kashtira format. That was pretty much the last time we see Spright in the format. However, since then, Spright actually got a lot of tools. Even with the new tools, the deck is still not as good as the actual meta deck since then, right? There were Rescue A's, there were Kashtira, there were Rescue A's, and then there were like after that, there were the Snake Eyes, and then now the Yugioh. Spright was just never really like good enough to compete in those formats. But now the format has been like kind of cooled down a little bit off the recent ban list. With enough new tools now, I think Spright can do a lot of things, and I'm going to show you in a minute. So basically, the generic things about Spright cards are there isn't really specific combo lines. There are just you counting how many level 2 or whatever 2's bodies are, and then based on that you know what kind of ending board you can make. So just be easy if we have like 2 level 2 bodies. That's basically just a beaver, right? A beaver gets 2 level 2 bodies. These 2 can go into a sprint. Spring will generate 2 more level 2 bodies by sending an angler from the deck to graveyard. Now suddenly you turn 2 level 2 into 3 level 2s. And here the standard Spright lines exceeds the sprint and Engraver into Gigantic. Gigantic nowadays is like equivalent to Toad because all you need to do is Gigantic into Swap. Swap will send the Mirror Mage, grab the Freezing Chains, which is a monster reborn for Ice Barrier, and these two now is a Toad. And then the last two bodies just turn the Gigantic and extra body into an IP. This is just like a standard ending board. And then the opponent's turn, Toad can just summon another swap from the deck for this to get enough like linking material for IP in their turn. So this is just like a standard what Spright cards the Spright side can do. A lot of people probably have not really experienced SP in Spright because this is like one of the newer addition to the deck. It's broken. Like the restrictions on Gigantic locking to 2s does not really apply because SP is also a link to. And then if you want an ending board interruption, make SP. If you want like a removal, like a bestial to remove, make an SP. If you want to remove something in the graveyard, make an SP. So SP just like doing everything. And then this is especially good in Sprites. However, as you also see here, there are also the Fiendsmith lines, where if that's the case, I think I need more level 2 bodies, which is still pretty easy to acquire. For example, I start as like, maybe not even Beaver. Start as like any level 2 normal, give me an M plus like a blue. Blue can obviously grab me Jet, and Jet probably just give me a starter here. Here, as you see, we do the regular line like earlier. We'll turn to a little bit more bodies, right? So instead of going straight into Gigantic and do other things, we have more bodies. So the more bodies can just turn into the Fiendsmith lines. Because the Fiendsmith lines obviously only require very few monsters to do. Moonlink is also just a very generic thing to access. Then into Requiem, into Engraver. And then the Fiendsmith line before Rage of the Abyss, pretty much you can do two kind of ending board. You either go equip Requiem to Engraver, turn this into a Necrocrypt, then revive the Engraver to go for a Caesar. This is one of the standard lines, which this is a line I do. And if you do that, these two can still be in like Gigantic Toad here. Or there's the other funnier line, where instead of bringing, let me see. So instead of bring back the Requiem or anything, just go straight link the Engraver into a sequence. There are 3 lifing bodies, being the Moon, Requiem, and Engraver. So these 3 can be fused into a Desiree. And interesting, Gigantic says any link to can be used as Xyz body, right? So the sequence and sprint, 2 monsters you will normally think never be as Xyz material, can form a perfect Gigantic. And all you need to do is Gigantic, summon like the Toad stuff, make a Toad, and then the sequence, because it detached, now equipped to Desiree. And then if you want to use the last body as a starter, you can just turn the Gigantic into like another IP. So just like 3 level 2, pretty much a normal summon level 2 and a blue can have an ending board like this. Just IP Toad Desiree. And Toading next turn, like I said, can just bring out a swap for IP to link. Alright, so these are some like more trick combos I can do. And obviously when I'm actually playing games, matches, during the tournament, I'll never really have only just like a summon blue or just a single beaver. It's always in a combination of a lot of cards. So for example, I open like Engraver in hand, which I do play 3, plus like standard combo, enough level 2s or something. There's a trick where I can go just Star is the same thing. Where is it? Sprint, Angler, Beaver and Beaver. And here, turn these into a Moon. Moon effect into Requiem into Engraver. Well, the second Engraver from the deck. And here I go equip and turn this into Necrocrypt. Funny thing, because Necrocrypt has an additional effect, a hidden effect, where if I activate a monster in, or any player activate a monster in hand by discarding anything into the graveyard, Necrocrypt can draw me a card. So here Necrocrypt can just draw me whatever, like a potential card I'm missing, a free draw. And then the Engraver can search me a Tract, right? The Tract and the Lure is still in the deck available, so this is still alive. And then here I can just go into Engraver, or shuffle back a thing, and then these two can go into like a Caesar. And then if I have more bodies, hypothetically I have like a Jet summoned earlier, I can now still going to Tract, get Lure, summon Lure, and then these two going to a sequence. There will still be enough like Lure, Engraver, and Moon, because I started with it, I was engraving in hand. So these get shuffled back into a Desiree. And here these two can go into Gigantic, into Toad. I'm just skipping steps, you know the details. And if I have more bodies, like if hypothetically because I showed a Jet earlier, right, as an example. If I have like a blue instead of Jet, that means I have an additional body, and I can turn the additional body in Gigantic into like an IP on the top. So just with like some 2-3 card combos, I can end it on things like Desiree, Caesar, Toad, IP plus a draw, and then with very low investment. And like some people will say, okay, Spright is naturally a deck that's like not really losing to Nib, but with all the extra steps you might lose to Nib. Yes and no. The entire Fiendsmith lines can end it on Caesar, which not only is a good like protection from Nib, but also a good interruption in their turn. And then sometimes I even like start my turn by drawing Swap Frost. I can get into Toad early, and then do like maybe Fiendsmith, maybe Spright lines afterwards. And just because now IP and SP existing, I can just turn any two bodies into these in the different form I need it, even under the restriction of Gigantic. So this deck can actually put out as many good bodies going first, ending something as good as like a Yugioh could even have. Arguably better, I'll say. Because the Yugioh, some form of interruption from Yugiohs, I don't think they're fitting the format that well. But with like Toad, Caesar, Desiree, IP, plus maybe a smasher of Jet, this is like kind of just dealing with everything in the format. So, and then even going second, right? Going second, there's the Zeus lines. There's obviously the mosquito that can actually kill people through just crashing Nimbles, the Sunfish that I do have a copy in the deck. And then, or worst case, the mosquito just like a Zeus pilot. Zeus, I think it's especially like decent in the format, because a lot of people are trying to abuse Fiendsmith as much as possible, right? And one of the most common ending board I have to face is Caesar. In a lot of other decks, like especially Snake Eyes, the only way you generate more bodies to the board, you have to activate effect to get Caesar, to get checked by Caesar. But in Spright, because the Spright summon in Hearn, and Caesar cannot touch that, you can just go like normal or 2, special or 2, make a mosquito, battle phase attack, even have Yugioh, other things fine. Main phase 2, just clear the board. But obviously, like the real game is gonna be a lot more complicated, whether you are able to get that far or not. But at least this is like a solid option to have compared to a lot of other decks not even having it. And then Zeus is also like surprisingly available even from the Fiendsmith lines. So just open Engraver or even Tracked. I think I can even do it with Tracked, yeah. So if I start with Tracked, I can go into like Lurry. So yeah. Go into a Lurry link into Requiem into Engraver, then equip Requiem, turn this into Necroquip, then Engraver bounce one back into a Summon, these two go into a Caesar. See, just within even a Track, not even Engraver, I can get into an Exceeds Bodies, and I just go Battle Phase attack. And the worst case, if I want to, if I need to, a main phase I can just put Zeus on Caesar. And in order to get this far, you only need a Tract, which is like arguably the quote unquote the worst copy of the starter extender in the deck, right? So this is just like quite neat to have in the format. Zeus just having Zeus available in a lot of people in my deck compared to a lot of other people's who doesn't is definitely like a bonus thing. And then that's also why I do really like Spright being able to have Zeus, being able to even turn Fiendsmith into Zeus. And then sometimes, like, one of the bigger problem for Fiendsmith decks right now is the fact you have no access from Fiendsmith line to your core engine, right? Like Snake Eye having this problem. That's why some people are cutting Fiendsmith from Snake Eye and just play Pure, play Fire King, or any possible way, just not with the Fiendsmith cards. And Fiendsmith were good in last formats because Beatrice just have access to everything. And why Yugioh is abusing Fiendsmith as much as they are right now is because Yugioh's, like all the Fiendsmiths are Fiend cards. So you can easily have like Arrow Eater, the Mudcracker, and just kind of go, still be able, even without Beatrice, still able to go from Fiendsmith into their Yugioh lines and then finish comboing. However, in this deck, in the Spright deck, you can actually do that. Spright might be one of the few other deck that has those things available still because the existence of Sprint. All I need to do is just like maybe Stars Engraver, get Tracked, get Lurry, then Lurry into Requiem, into a second Engraver, and here turn it, summon back the Engraver, these two into a Sequence effect, fuse back the Engravers and Lurry into a Desiree. Usually this is like what a Snake Eye deck can do, right? And they just end it here. But in extreme cases, if I don't even have any other bodies, I've done this. I've just linked away Desiree and Sequence into Sprint. And then Desiree can trigger here because I can shuffle by Sequence, target card, send from the field. And Sprint will resolve here, get me the Nimble cards out. And now suddenly I can start playing Spright with the Fiendsmith cards to start. And here probably just go like Gigantic into Toad, into IP, or whatever things I'm missing, right? So this is like another reason why I just like Spright, because they have the reason why Fiendsmiths are good in Yugioh. That reason is present in the Spright deck. And I don't know if any other deck in the format or in the card pool have that ability, similar as Yugioh or Spright. So that's why, because Yugioh isn't the deck I'm choosing, this become the deck I'm playing, and I've been doing well with it. So, still similar as I mentioned last week, I'm going to some YCS. I'm going to YCS Cancun next weekend, and that will be the last tournament of the format. I'm pretty confident with this time because how solid this foundation, this deck, this list is, and I hope I can bring you another deck profile with more details in the deck, and I hope you will like it. So, that being said, this is the kind of part 2 of the deck profile. If you still, after watching the combo line, you want to know like exactly the deck list, the main deck and the extra deck were being posted last weekend in another video. And then in the side deck, I'll probably still keep a secret and review it after next weekend's YCS. So, hope you like this video. Make sure to subscribe to both JNC Collectibles channel and my personal channel, Yugioh Lab. And then I hope to bring you more interesting content for the future. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.